So here's a question. What does Halloween have to do with your marriage? Well, not much. However, my next guest has identified some common monsters that may be hiding in your relationship and doing scary damage in the long run. Studio 5 contributor Dr. Liz Hale is joining me. Always great to see you, my friend.
Same to you. Happy Halloween.
So the monsters in your marriage, it almost sounds like a horror novel, doesn't it? I mean, are these monsters subtle, or do we know they're there?
Boy, sometimes they catch me off guard. Like the first one I was just thinking about recently, this whole feeling of anger and superiority. I was talking to Ben on the phone, and I was glad no one was around because I'd said something, and then his response, I just thought, like, oh my gosh, how do I help this guy be a little more refined? You know, Mr. Hawaii, he's so relaxed. And so like, I just hurried off the phone because I was just annoyed, and I didn't want to say anything that was going to make it worse, right?
Yeah.
And just feeling a little bit better, I guess, better than him. I'll have to be honest, that's the monster right there. Later that day, I was pumping gas, and I noticed, oh, they've got Coke Zero in there in the fountain. So I went and grabbed Coke Zero while the gas was finishing, and then it finished. I hopped in my car, and I drove off with the nozzle still attached to my car. Yeah, the gas tank nozzle, yeah. I can't remember the last time I've done that. Guess how many times Ben's done that? Never.
Yeah.
Right? Never. And so you just get feeling that so ashamed. So the antidote of that anger, of course, is just that acceptance that we're different. Thank goodness we're different. You know, you wouldn't want to be married to yourself, right? There is no growth, there's no opportunity there, there's no fun there. So how wonderful that we can just practice on accepting, you know what, he responds differently than me, excuse me, but does that mean to say that I'm right and he's wrong? You know, just as soon as you feel superior, something will come along to knock you down and put you back down to baseline.
So acceptance.
Accepting your partner, that he is who he is, she is who she is, yeah, and love them for who they are.
I don't want to add insult to injury, but I have to ask, were you dragging a gas pump down the road?
Yeah, no.
Oh, good.
Well, I mean, I heard it, right?
Okay.
It's like, I'm so shocked. It's like, I can't believe I just did that.
I had a girlfriend that actually pulled out of the hose, pulled out of the machine.
Was
anyway,
it gas and everything?
We digress. I don't know. It was scary. So there you go. At least
Careful,
you made it unscathed.
Chevron and Bountiful, it might be damaged.
Monster number 2 is a biggie. It's betrayal. And I think the more obvious, maybe dramatic example would be a mistrust like an affair. But can betrayal do damage even on a smaller scale? You
know, I think of there's a scale of betrayal, really. I mean, something really simple. Again, if you don't mind me just kind of using the monsters of my own marriage, the things that I do. Ben and I grew up very differently. My family system was very small. His was a very large family, and he grew up in Hawaii, and everybody's auntie and uncle there. So his family circle's even huge, right? Bigger than that. And one day I walked into the master, and everybody was in there. Everybody who'd been in the pool was now either in the tub or the shower. Family and parents were sitting around, and I was mortified. You know, because I had a ring around my tub from those bath bombs we love.
Sure,
you know, clean.
Yes.
I had a ton of clothes in the master closet, just this huge pile because I was reorganizing. We'd just come home from out of town. There was not a speck of space on my countertop.
But there's the party in your bedroom.
But it's like, oh my goodness. So just the betrayal I felt just because we were so different. You know, I wanted him to have my back and to know me a little bit better and to suggest a different bathroom unless I approved the master. It's just so personal. Right? So sometimes we have to have those conversations about what does it mean to have my back and what does it mean? And the boundaries are really, really key with this. Even let's talk about Facebook and social media. Let's say all of a sudden you hear from an old flame on Facebook. And clients will give me a bad time about this because they say, you mean you really have to ask permission from my spouse to respond? And it's not so much about permission, but it's about clarification. It's like, oh, honey, guess who I heard from today? Remember so-and-so I told you about from high school or college or wherever. I heard from her. Her mom just died. I'd really like to send some condolences. You know, and most of us, oh yeah, I think that's nice because we know about it. We're informed and we're protected.
Sure.
So boundaries are really key when it comes to betrayal. Boundaries and connection is key.
I like that. I like that. Criticism. We mentioned this a little bit before the break, but you say criticism can obviously really do its damage in a relationship.
It does, especially when that's all I'm going to focus on. A man sat down in my practice recently, first session, and I couldn't even get a word in edgewise. He had this long list of criticisms of his wife, you know, and I just didn't even try to break in. I just let him go, and then finally I said, I appreciate that list, and tell me about your shortcomings. And he was dumbfounded. I didn't know what to say.
And
I'm not critical of him because we all do that. We all walk around just like I did with that Miss Superiority. Like, why can't he be more refined? You know, the things that we do to ourselves. So the antidote of that criticism is connection. It's really hard to criticize your lover when you're connected to them, when you really have that embrace. And you know, I was sent this picture. My niece had a baby in Arizona, and she showed me that skin-to-skin contact of that new baby boy, right? And I thought about that in marriage too. Just that, it doesn't have to be naked during the day, but it could just be that embrace of just nuzzling up against their neck, you know, and that kissing and that touching, that connection. There's just no replacement for touch. And it just softens everything.
It's funny, along that baby theme, there's a Huggies commercial that Emmy loves right now on the Disney Channel, right? And it's these nurses holding these babies, and I think the song says something like, we all need a hug in the morning. And I thought the same thing similar to you, how that
so
connection
true.
applies to adults just as much as it does to babies.
Absolutely. We need to be needed and we need to be touched. We got to have that.
The next monster you describe as a hard, fast break in any relationship, and that is when one or both partners get defensive.
Oh yeah, it's so easy to do that, isn't it? It's so easy to react instead of respond. But here's what's nice about psychology. What we do know is that between the stimulus and the response, there is this pause, there is this break. And that break can either be your power moment or your prison moment. You know, you can either continue the escalation or you can de-escalate things and make them better. Like this soft touch we just talked about, or a kind gesture, or like, oh, you know, things are getting really heated here. You know, let's just take a little break, or I love you. We're saying things that neither one of us mean. Do something to de-escalate and to repair the connection.
So don't get defensive, try to de-escalate.
Yep.
I like that visual too of thinking of that pause point and where you're going to take it in that moment.
Believe it or not, it does exist. Sometimes we're just so used to just knee-jerk reaction, we don't realize that we have a choice to respond. But it can make all the difference.
Finally, some monsters move couples toward the door of the relationship, so to speak. So they want out of the argument, the situation, even in extreme cases, the marriage. How can we fix that, keep both feet in?
Yeah, just even the exit, just in conversation, the person could still be sitting there, you know, where they're stonewalling or nobody's home. And re-engage yourself. You know, that partner wants just one person in the whole world to have their back and to be interested in them. And I think when we're focusing on the things that are good about our partner, it's so much easier to become re-engaged. Put down the phone, put down the paper, and say, oh my gosh, your eyes are blue. You know, it's been a long time since I've just looked at you. Re-engage in that. It's easy to say, oh, I'm out of here, or I'm uninterested, or I'm shutting down, but anyone can do that. But few of us can re-engage and say, you know, I love you, and I'm in this for the long haul. I'm all in.
Liz, we love you. We love your advice. Thank you so much. Really helpful. We'll post this conversation on our website, too. If you found it helpful, you can dial it back up with a spouse later today. And happy Halloween costume.
Happy Halloween.
I'm asking everyone today.
Yes, of course.
What are you going to do? Do you know?
Which classic?
Go for the classic. I'm not
Go for
surprised.
the easy.
No, I'm not surprised because it's classic, not because you're a witch. That's what I meant. She's our favorite classy friend.
I know what you meant.
Stop it. Thanks, Liz.